agent she knows in the FBI Tampa's office about threatening emails from an unidentified source. Now, who is that source? Okay. Tampa Division Cyber Squad begins an investigation. Ooh, it starts to unravel. The emails do not mention Patraeus, but a U.S. official tells CNN the nature of the messages was along the lines of, "Stay away from my guy." Another source says they referenced the comings and goings of the generals and Mrs. Kelly. Generals meaning Allen and Patraeus. So we've got this menage a trois.
Yep.
July, investigators and prosecutors determined they should investigate the case. An FBI agent asked Kelly for copies of the emails, and a source close to Kelly says the emails being sent to her stop in mid-July, which is about the time they start investigating.
Yeah.
Patraeus' relationship with Broadwell ends, according to friends close to Patraeus. The end of the affair was a mutual decision, says a friend. Records of IP addresses are obtained, and Kelly is told that Broadwell, whom she does not know, is the sender of the anonymous emails. Now, come on. Don't you know that these things can be tracked and traced and figured out? And why would anybody in their right mind send threatening emails anymore? I mean, this is just idiocy. A U.S. official tells CNN that investigators gained access to Broadwell's computer. As part of the FBI's investigation, agents discover email between Patraeus and Broadwell using Gmail accounts. Patraeus tells Broadwell to stop sending harassing emails to Kelly, "you stupid bitch." Oh, he didn't say that. A U.S. official says there is disagreement between sources exactly when this took place. July 28, Broadwell, now a lieutenant colonel in the Army Reserve, appears on a panel at the Aspen Institute. She says, "I was embedded with General Patraeus in Afghanistan, and it was a little confusing to some of the folks there because I am also a military reservist with top-secret FBI clearance." And then some, she says. Late summer, the FBI informs the Justice Department about the investigation. That's important. The Justice Department knows about the investigation.
Mm-hmm.
By this time, the FBI has long concluded there was no national security breach, but continues investigation whether Patraeus had any role in the harassing emails sent to Kelly. It is not clear whether FBI Director Robert Mueller or Attorney General Eric Holder are informed. It's possible, right?
Yeah.
They might not know.
Well.
Sort of a investigation going on.
Whether they should or not.
Well, you know, I mean,
about.
Really the buck stops with them, but they can't know every investigation that's going on. But you would think that an investigation of the CIA director would go to top people.
That's exactly it. It's one investigation you would expect them to know about.
You would really think so. Okay, now we're this year in September of October, just a few months ago, FBI investigators interview Broadwell. A law enforcement source tells CNN's Fran Townsend that Broadwell gave authorities her computer at this time. Voluntarily said, "Here's my computer." I don't know if I would have done that. I probably would have hired an attorney at that time. Anytime the FBI wants to look at my computer, I think I'm going to get an attorney. But anyways, Broadwell now talks to students at the University of Denver and says, the CIA annex in Benghazi, Libya, during the attack on September 11th, had taken a couple of Libyan militia members prisoner, and they think that the attack on the consulate was an effort to try to get these prisoners back. So that's still being vetted, she said to the students. On November 13, Senator Susan Collins said she was surprised that Broadwell had access to some classified information. We don't know whether that's true or not. Well, later on, we found out that she did have access to some things that were classified, but they considered it to be not a security threat. Anyways, 2008, Patraeus and Broadwell both attend the Office of Strategic Services dinner in Washington. Nate, they didn't sit together.
Huh.
Of course, they had already broken up their physical relationship. By late October, the FBI agent in Tampa, his name was Humphreys, who had been approached by Kelly, reaches out to Office of Representative Dave Reichert, Republican from Washington, to express concerns about lack of progress in the investigation. Reichert contacts House Majority Leader Eric Cantor, according to Cantor spokesman Doug Hay. Hay says Cantor had a conversation with the agent, described as a whistleblower, about the affair, and subsequently Cantor's chief of staff notified FBI Director Mueller. Okay. Cantor said, I received information from an individual that I had not met before and did not know. That information that was sent to me sounded as if there was a potential for a national security vulnerability. FBI investigators interview Patraeus. Late October. November 2nd, FBI wraps up its case after interviewing Paula Broadwell a second time. November 6th, Election Day, Patraeus' boss, Director of National Intelligence, James Clapper, is informed of the probe in a phone call by the FBI. At around 5 p.m., he speaks with Patraeus and advises him to resign. Huh, how convenient. November 7th, Clapper notifies staff that Patraeus, who turned 60 that day, is considering resigning and why. Okay, November 8th. Now, this is the first time. Newly elected President Barack Obama is informed. Patraeus visits the White House to hand in his resignation. White House spokesman Jay Carney says later the president was certainly surprised when he was informed about this situation. November 9th, the president accepts his resignation during a phone call. Patraeus steps down as director of the CIA just days before he's scheduled to testify before the Senate Intelligence Committee about the September 11th attack on Benghazi. Right? Huh. Isn't that convenient?
Yep.
According to a congressional aide familiar with the matter, the House and Senate Intelligence Committees weren't informed that there was an FBI investigation before November 9th. Obama is made aware of the investigation to General Allen. Remember, we can't forget him. When the Department of Justice notifies White House counsel that there may be an issue associated with Allen's nomination because of his involvement with Kelly and the emails going between Kelly and Broadwell, right? So he's no good. He's tainted. November 11th, lawmakers complain that the FBI didn't alert them sooner to the investigation. Senator Dianne Feinstein, who chairs the Senate Intelligence Committee, says on Fox, "We received no advance notice. It's like a lightning bolt." Kelly's identity is revealed by the Associated Press, and she issues a statement asking for privacy. Kelly says, "We and our family have been friends with General Patraeus and his family for over 5 years. We respect his and his family's privacy and want the same for us and our 3 children." That evening, FBI notifies the Pentagon, finally, about investigating to Allen's communication with Kelly. The 12th, former President Patraeus spokesman in Iraq, Steve Boylan, says Patraeus has told him meetings with Broadwell were infrequent. He confirms Patraeus had a non-work email account. He also says Patraeus indicated there was a possible obsession, and she felt she was warding off the competition, and then that's in regard to her threatening letters to Kelly.
Yep.
Let's see. Broadwell retains a criminal defense attorney. Broadwell's home Charlotte is searched to see what classified material she might have. Agents removed several boxes and bags. A U.S. official tells CNN, "I don't think this is going to lead to any charges against her." Let's see. On the same day, a senior U.S. defense official says the FBI uncovered between 20,000 and 30,000 pages of potentially inappropriate emails between Allen and Kelly. 20,000 and 30,000 pages of emails.
This was over a fairly long period of time.
Really?
Think. Yeah.
Maybe over a year.
Yeah.
They didn't have the affair that long. The affair was about a year.
The thing that I wasn't sure about that stat is, was it just printed emails where you know how Gmail works, where you get a chain of emails and they're on every email. You know what I mean? So if they printed every one.
So you're saying that many of them are repeated on these pages?
Oh, is it one email per page or?
Yeah, I don't know.
What is it? I don't know.
I don't care.
And it doesn't matter. It's a lot. It's a lot.
Let's say it's 25,000 pages.
It's a lot, and there was another. It may have been.
How does somebody have the time to do that? It may have
been a prior CIA director. I'm not sure. Somebody came out and said, or an aide. They don't have email addresses. They don't use email. It just they don't because of the security implications.
It said many of the email groups were aliases rather than directly between Allen and Kelly. So on November 13th, John Nagel, who worked for Patraeus for years, says Patraeus insisted he never shared classified information with Broadwell. Her accesses to Patraeus were highly unusual, but not illegal. Yeah, I'm sure. Now, Senator Sue Collins says it's absolutely imperative that General Patraeus come and testify on Benghazi. He has a great deal of information that we need. Feinstein agrees to that. I do too. A U.S. official briefed on some of the details of the Allen email suggested there is no criminal issue, while documents warrant further looking at. If there was a clear violation of, law, we'd be handling it differently. A source close to Allen tells CNN there is no affair between Kelly. She is a board-rich socialite involved with every single senior commander at Centec because she worked as an honorary consul. Now, you have a soundbite about that?
Yeah, well, she's...
What's an honorary consul?
She's an honorary consul. It's basically just, well, it's honorary. It's right in the name. It really doesn't mean anything. What she was doing was she was actually a honorary diplomat or consul or whatever for South Korea, which is interesting. So she was helping, set up meetings between people in Washington and things like
Korean
that.
diplomats, South Korean
diplomats. Yeah. But when all of this went down, she had basically reporters and people show up at her house because, they wanted to get the story and they wanted to talk to her. And I guess she came home and there was somebody in her little compound. She had her gated community.
Well, certainly they were quite wealthy.
Yeah, and she called 911, which is probably, that's fine, completely justified if somebody's trespassing. She claimed the person wouldn't leave.
Wouldn't you have your own private security company that went out there with, Homeland Security rifles and just machine gun them down?
Oh, boy.
Give them the bums rush and get them out of there?
Would who do that?
Kelly.
She is nothing, though.
She's not that rich?
No, they're in debt.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
I didn't know that.
She does nothing, right?
Okay. Well, she's a rich board socialite.
A surgeon, I think, but I think I heard a couple million in debt even.
Wow.
And that happens, whatever. But
yeah, okay. So,
I think she drives a Mercedes or something pretty nice. So it's,
who doesn't?
Yeah, right. I mean, I have several Mercedes. Well, I don't have any. I have a
You
couple Cadillacs. So, well, actually, I don't
have a
too
Cadillac
many vehicles now.
So let's talk about when you hit the deer, but we'll talk about that in a minute.
I do have a Cadillac emblem that I took off the ground.
So she's I have a Mercedes emblem that I wear around my neck. Anyway,
that's cute.
She's a volunteer, right, and just a private citizen.
Yeah.
Okay.
But here's a bit of her 911 call, though.
Yeah, somebody's in her yard, so she's calling. An honorary consul, she said.
Inviolable. She has inviolability.
Like God.
Basically, what happens? Real diplomats, you can't
do have diplomatic immunity.
Yeah, and you can't. They can't be messed with and harassed and molested and whatever. But she actually has a license plate on her car. She got an honorary consul license plate.
Yeah.
That she has.
So she's invoking diplomatic immunity and to get the U.S. government involved in this person wandering around her
reporter
yard.
in her yard. She called 911